in the presentation prior to this one. And again, this is Chris Wolowitz joining us, and my name is Timothy Ross as well. So a couple of things we want to keep in mind is that you are muted, but we also want your participation. So please use the Q&A for questions. You can use the chat for comments or to say hi. As a reminder, you can also select to comment with the other attendees that are in attendance with the session today as well. As a reminder also, the sessions will be recorded and emailed along with the post-event survey, and the slides and all of this stuff will be available at the end along with checklist and additional training materials. So the schedule, again, we've completed for day 2, level up your business with intentional branding and megaphone workshop, leveling up your business with intentional branding website workshop, and now we're getting into creating a world-class user experience. I honestly think that Chris and I, for this class, it's probably one of our favorite ones, especially when we're talking about search engine optimizations and all kinds of other cool things. So the title of the class again is creating a world-class experience. And the agenda that we're going to go through about 4 different things. The first one is implement SEO practices to better optimize your site for organic search traffic. SEO is search engine optimization. The second thing is we want to identify the benefits of creating a universal consumer account. Third thing, guide your sphere to create a universal consumer account. Why is that important? Okay, we'll answer those as we go through the class. And then of course, fourth, get your branded app into the hands of the consumers. Each one of these is extremely important, and we'll cover these in the different sections of the class today. So the first thing we want to talk about is the RE/MAX technology ecosystem. RE/MAX Tech is constantly evolving in this tech sphere. The technology teams are always working hard to build the technology ecosystem for everyone who's involved in the buying and selling process, from agents and brokers to clients and potential future clients. Booz is not only a CRM, but it's a suite of different technology products. Adam Ocontos has said this before, technology in the real estate space needs to help enhance your relationships, not replace them, which basically means understanding your client's journey using technology is going to be key in building those strong relationships. So the next thing I want to look at is the home search by numbers. So yesterday, they talked about the first 2 stats and how impactful the internet is when it comes to searching for homes. But let's talk about the other 2 stats. 52% of home buyers found the home they purchased online. 74% of buyers said they used a mobile or tablet device. What does this mean to you? It means that consumers are online, so that's where you need to be as well. With so many people searching online, you have a lot of opportunities to help and also generate more leads through the different RE/MAX technologies that RE/MAX offers to you. But also consumers have a lot of choices with competing online. Can be also challenging because you have Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, RE/MAX.com, Homes.com. You have all these different national websites. So how do you compete with those? As we go through this class, you'll learn how you can actually get some of those pages inside your website's ranking and everything. So being part of the RE/MAX family is key because it's one of the most recognizable names in the real estate. So through RE/MAX's extensive online presence, which includes RE/MAX.com, we also have specialty sites for global, luxury, and also commercial listings. And then of course, we have the RE/MAX Home Search app. You also have your Booz website, and there's a lot of opportunities to introduce RE/MAX agents to potential clients. So today we're focused not only on the RE/MAX brand, but also your brand and how we can also intertwine it with your Booz website and get your branded app into the hands of the consumers. So let's talk about optimizing your Booz website. So when it comes to Booz websites, there's a few things that you can do to help improve your site's SEO. And again, SEO is search engine optimization and the visibility within the search engines. So we did a lot of the things in the website workshop class, the last class. And again, the strategy for RE/MAX.com is to focus on listings. So you can focus on your search engine optimization efforts where you can have the most impact. So let's take a look at, before we really dive deep into this, what is SEO? Okay, SEO again stands for search engine optimization. It's a fundamental component of digital marketing It also unpacks how your website ranks on the search engines like Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Each search engine has different algorithms that determines how the content is ranked within the search results. And again, it's based on a lot of different variety of factors that goes into that part of it. And also to appear on page one of Google, you have to have more visibility in the search engines, which means you need to make sure your website and the content within your website is optimized for these rankings. So as you see on your screen, we're going to look at some of these ranking factors that impact search engine optimization. So it's important to understand that search engines take into account all these different factors that determine how the pages are ranked. Now, there's also believed to be more than 200 different ranking factors that determine how Google ranks content alone. But here's some of the most important ones. The first one is keywords. You need to understand how to use keywords within the content of your web page, also within titles and also the title tags and descriptions or meta descriptions of your pages. You also want to make sure that you're using unique content. Just because you copy content from another website and paste it on yours doesn't mean that's going to help with your website. You want to make sure that it's unique and it's different from other websites. Also, what's important, every website needs to have a domain name. So if you don't have a domain name, go out and buy one. You can get them for 10, 15, 20 bucks, sometimes even cheaper than that if they're running specials. And also depends on which website you purchase them from. Every agent should have a domain name, and that domain name should be on all your social media sites, should be in your email signature, on your business card, and any flyers, brochures, marketing materials, or anything like that. That domain name should be on all of that. Also, the websites are mobile responsive. So basically, if somebody goes to your website on a mobile device, it will automatically adjust to fit that mobile device as well. And that's one of the things that search engines look for. The other thing too is how many inbound links or how many links are linking back to your website. So that's why it's also key when you're posting content within your social media sites, you want to link back to your website because you want those links to help kind of increase or generate rankings for your website. Then of course, also the metrics, how many people are going to your website, how many click-throughs, bounce rates. And again, a bounce rate is basically somebody hits a web page and then they leave. How much time are they spending on the website? And there's a lot more that's also involved in regards to pages being ranked within the search engines. But we'll cover some of these high level here in a few minutes. So the first thing we want to talk about is content. I've used content as king for many years, and this is so true. You want to make sure that you're using unique content on your website. And the more content you have on the websites, the search engines love that. They love to digest that. But you also want to make sure that that content is relevant and it pertains to what you have on that web page. Because the content is one of the most important factors, again, in the search engines. So let's talk about optimizing your website. So when it comes to the content, search engines, they evaluate a few things. The first one is content quality. So the quality content is information that people want to digest because it helps or entertains them, tells them how to do something or where to find something. It also gives real answers and real people's questions. Google also wants to make sure that you're giving consumers the best experience and will also prioritize sites that offer quality content. So our information should always be in depth, valuable, and accurate. And again, you want to make sure that you're not copying content from another website and posting it on yours. That's just duplicated content. It's not unique. It's not quality content. And again, does it really pertain to your market as well? The second thing is the content engagement. Okay. Content engagement is basically how much time are they on the site? How many pages are they visiting within your website? Bounce rates, what pages are they landing on? What pages are they exiting from? Are they going from one page to another page to another page? All of this helps because when you have good quality content, you are able to keep or capture that information through this process. And again, it's about quality content. Also have valuable resources that you can provide to them as well. The third thing is content freshness. Search engines love to go back and crawl web pages that are being refreshed or being updated in a consistent manner or timely manner. So if you put a web page out and you leave it there and you don't change it or add content to it or you modify it, over a period of time, it will become stagnant and it will no longer rank within the search engines. So that's why it's important that you're constantly updating these pages. And we'll give you some tips here in a little while on how you can actually do that automatically. Topical authority and relevance. So topical authority is who's the authority of this content? Okay, is that content you're creating, is it unique? And does it pertain to what that page is about? So if you copy it from someone else and you paste it onto your page, who's the topical authority really on what you copied over? You're not, that other website is. Search engines can identify that. How they do it, I have no idea. It's beyond my knowledge, but they're able to see where you're copying that content from. That's why you want to make sure that you're the one that's the professional authority over the content that you're putting on the website. And again, it should be connected and appropriate for your market and your brand. And so the next one we're going to look at is you want to focus on hyper local content. So when it comes to your website, you want to make sure that you're focusing on web pages that are geographically specific. So whether it's a city or a neighborhood or even school districts, these are web pages that you can focus on a lot easier than big websites like Zillow. They can't offer that, right? Because it's just too many web pages, too many resources and everything else. And again, search engines want to provide users with the most relevant and useful content. So that's why when it comes to real estate, you want to make sure that you're returning the local results. And again, local results can be cities, neighborhoods, school districts, zip codes. Again, you're that professional within that geographical area. You also know the community. So we talk about neighborhoods or communities. You know where people want to live. You know where they want to spend time. You know where their kids want to go to school. You know all of that information. So why are you not putting that on your website? Because when people go online and they're searching for a specific neighborhood and that homes are available within that neighborhood, your pages should be showing up within those top of the search results. And again, those are the things that matter to people in your community. And again, that content will help get those pages ranked within the search engines. The other thing we want to talk about is share valuable content and resources. So basically, while many users are searching online for homes, there's still buyers and sellers who are not ready to make a move just yet, okay? But they might still be in that research phase or that process. So for an example, you might have somebody that's relocating, but they might not be relocating for 6 months or maybe a year, but they'll start that research process of schools. Maybe they have some children that's in elementary, junior high, or high school, and they're going to start that process. Okay, what schools do I want my kids to be going to? Well, once they find the schools that they want their kids to go to, then that next step is, okay, what neighborhoods are around that school? By putting all this content on a website and really targeting those schools and the neighborhoods that serve the schools that service those neighborhoods, when somebody is searching online for a specific school and then neighborhoods that service or schools that service those neighborhoods, those pages can help get ranked in the search engines, and those people can see it, and then you start generating leads from there. So some of the things you can think about is, what are the steps involved with buying or selling a home? The next one is, what's the average home price in a community? How many homes are inside that neighborhood itself? Okay, what's the average price again of those homes inside that market? How do I know how much can I afford? And again, that really comes down to them filling out a mortgage calculator or something like that. What neighborhood would be the best fit for me? And so on. So those are some of the topics that you can look at creating content for your website. And again, remember to consider the common questions you often get asked by your clients. Those are some of the key things that you can actually use to add content to your website because you're answering their questions ahead of time. So think about that. What are your clients asking you? Take those questions, answer those by creating these websites for it. Now, you also have default content for potential clients. So within your Booj website, it does answer some of those commonly questions that are asked. On the websites, you have a buyer's guide, you have a seller's guide, a mortgage considerations, relocation information, then of course account benefits, and then the mobile app benefits. Each one of these pages are default content that's available to you. Here in a little while, Chris is going to explain the importance of going in and updating some of these default pages that are inside there to be more geographically specific to your market area. And again, you always want to make sure that you're updating these web pages in regards to a geographical area. Why? Because it's easier to get those pages ranked within the search engines. The next thing is incorporate local keywords. So one of the things about keywords is if you go to Google and you type in homes for sale, just type in homes for sale next time you think about it. What you're going to find is there's probably like 25 billion websites that has the words homes for sale. But when you start looking at keywords, you want to start looking at keywords that are really geographically specific, like Denver homes for sale. Well, that's a lot more specific than just homes for sale. If you're looking Denver homes for sale with a pool, now you're getting more specific, right? Same thing with neighborhoods. When you start using the neighborhood names and homes for sale, you're getting very geographically specific. So instead of searching for homes for sale and competing with 25 billion other web pages, when you start getting more specific, you'll notice that number will drop down into the millions. When it starts dropping down into the millions, it does help, and it makes it easier to get those pages ranked within the search engines. Keywords help Google understand what your site's relevance and what the content is about on that web page. And again, specific search terms or topics is extremely important. You also want to make sure you're including page titles, meta descriptions, body copy, image descriptions, and more. And again, we're actually going to cover a lot more of this in a few minutes. Now, when it comes to keywords, location matters, not location, but local matters, right? So on your screen, what you're looking at is not ideal real estate, homes for sale, and realtor. Those are extremely generic. And again, it makes it extremely difficult to get those pages ranked in the search engines just for those phrases. And if you're going to pay for those phrases, it's going to be astronomical. So cost effective is not going to help with that. Now, good, again, we're getting a little more geographic specific. Denver real estate, Denver homes for sale, Denver real estate agent, okay? We're getting a little more geographic specific, but if you want to actually increase your chances of getting those pages ranked, you want to make sure that you're more specific within your search phrases. So the better is Cherry Creek real estate. That's a neighborhood. Denver Mountain View homes for sale. Wash Park luxury condos. Those are geographically specific keywords. Now, if it's a school, okay, or a school district, I live in Katy. The Katy school is called Katy Independent School District. So I could say homes for sale, okay, those phrases around or in the Katy School District, okay? What am I doing? I'm using the homes for sale and the school district name as a phrase. I'm being very specific in regards to what that page is about. And that's why it's important to build content around the popular words like this, okay? You should also make it even more hyperlocal by incorporating, specific neighborhood keywords into your website, okay? For example, Delaney Park is a neighborhood in Denver. So you could type in Delaney Park homes for sale, or Delaney Park in Denver homes for sale. Different phrases, and you can use those in Google. So you can go to Google and just type those phrases in and actually see what or how many pages that you're competing against. Now, the other thing you want to look at is keyword best practices. So you want to be mindful of how you're using those keywords within your site. You want to incorporate keywords into the strategy. It's not just about throwing as many keywords as possible on a page. If you take that keyword and you just repeat it over and over and over and over again, the search engine will look at it as spamming, and actually that can hurt all your progress that you've been working towards and getting those pages ranked in the search engines. So one, you want to make sure that you incorporate keywords in a natural way. So as you're writing the content out on your web page, you want to make sure that it reads naturally. You don't want to put it in there to where they're reading it and they're like, that doesn't make any sense at all, right? So you're going to use it written in a human-friendly language. You also want to use the keywords sparingly. So write this down real quick. So on your web pages, if you're going to create content, you want to have 300 to 500 words. And in each paragraph, you want to use that phrase one time each. And again, I'll repeat that. 300 to 500 words, 3 paragraphs. Put in that phrase in each paragraph one time each. That way you're not being considered keyword stuffing. And again, keyword stuffing basically means you're cramming in that keyword multiple times over and over and over again. Okay. If you spam the content with too many keywords, okay, or you use irrelevant keywords that don't relate to the topic of the page, the search engines can actually penalize you and end up hurting the rankings on your website. So those are some of the keys that you need to look for. Also, one of the other things that you want to make sure that you're doing is on photos that you upload, you have the ability to add content for those keywords. And when I say content, it's actually called an alt tag inside the HTML. And what you're doing is you're identifying that image with a couple of words or a phrase. Now, when you add this inside there, the search engines, when they crawl the website, they're looking at the coding of the website. And as they get to these images, they're looking for what's called an alt tag. And inside that HTML, what you see on the screen is that description for the SEO. And this is extremely relevant. Now, if you miss this, does it hurt the website? It hurts it a little bit, but it's not going to be detrimental, but it can improve your SEO rankings a lot by adding these SEO alt tags to your photos and everything. And again, making simple updates to your site isn't a huge time investment, but with a little bit of work and these changes, they can benefit you also in the long run. Now, one of the things I would also recommend is that anytime you're going to be updating any pages within your website, open up a Word document and start there by adding your information. So that way, all you have to do is copy and paste it over. Now, within your website, there are some default content pages that are just basic. And one of the things we want to make sure of is that you know how to go in and customize those to yourself or your market. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, and he is going to live drive.
Thanks, Tim. What we're going to be doing is hopping in and editing the default buyer's guide. Keep in mind that your buyer's guide might look different if you've gone in and made changes in the past, but this will apply to any page that you're interacting with. I recommend if you have a device to follow along, but keep in mind you also will have this recording later in the week. So if you don't have an opportunity to follow along with a second screen or something, don't worry about it because this is going to be true on every single page and it's fairly simple to go through. First, we're going to start on any page inside of Booj. You can see I'm somewhere in my library settings. You might be on your dashboard or contacts and leads page. It doesn't really matter where you're at right now. What you'll want to do first is locate the navigation banner at the top of your screen. That's that kind of gray and bluish color at the top. Then you'll want to click website. And then if you want to do this to your homepage, you would go to dashboard, but I'm going to go through the buyer's guide. So I'm going to go ahead and click on pages. Now this page is going to load all of the pages that you have inside of your account. And keep in mind that if you have a lot of pages, because it has a live preview of each page, this might take a little bit to load. It'll just depend on how many pages you have. You'll see I've added probably a dozen or so pages, but I'm still able to go in and access mine fairly quickly. And I'm going to locate the buyer's guide, but this could be any page that you want to edit, including that template that we just created in the previous class, the seller's guide, or anything else. Once you've located the page that you want to go ahead and make some updates to, you'll click the blue edit pencil that's in the lower left-hand corner. Give it a click, and then your page will begin to load. Where we're going to start is just making some easy changes to the content, and then we'll hop in and change the SEO parameters of the page. The first is going to be inside of your header image, which is going to be the first block in your page. To do so, locate the block on the left-hand column, bring your cursor over the pencil icon, and give it a click. If you're seeing some of these things for the first time, any one of these blocks will have inputs on the left-hand side, and then you'll see the preview on the right. And each one will look just a little bit different, so keep that in mind. We're going to use Denver as an example, but you may want to use your local community. Say that 5 times fast. So I'm just going to call this the Metro Denver Buyer's Guide. And we'll notice that we have some opportunities to add in some keywords here. So in the description, we're talking about Metro Denver. So we could be talking about from developing your budget to signing your name on the dotted line, a little more about the home buying process throughout Denver and other nearby suburbs. Once you've made any changes, just locate that blue button in the lower left-hand corner. It's called Save Changes. You'll want to make sure that you're clicking that before you make any other options. Next, we're going to go ahead and show you how to update photo descriptions for SEO. I'm going to use the example of the carousel block. This can also be done inside of the photo library. So when you upload a photo, you'll give it a title, and that will be serve as parts of your alt text. But I'm going to go to the bottom here, click Add Block. And I'm going to use the search bar at the top. You could scroll through and find whatever you're looking for. But I'm going to go ahead and grab our carousel block. I'm just going to type in car, C-A-R. You'll see that it appears here. Now, the way this block works is that it's a photo carousel of images. We're just going to grab a stock one by click to choose image. Keep in mind that if you want to upload your own, on the right-hand side as this photo library loads, you can click choose file, and you can upload PDFs, PNGs, JPEGs, or .gif files. I'm just going to grab a stock photo here, but you can, of course, grab anything from your photo library or upload your own. And I'm going to click the blue insert button on the lower right-hand side. Notice I now have a section that says description for SEO. So this is where you'll want to add in some of those parameters. So you might say something like, because this is a buyer's guide, buying a home in Denver, Colorado. Once it's done, you'll just click save. We've added the block now to the site and updated the SEO in that alt text so that Google now reads this photo, not just for what is in the photo, but we also have given it a description. I'm going to go back to my block list by clicking the kind of left pointing arrow in the upper left-hand corner. And it's going to ask me to save my changes, and I'll click continue. Now for the page itself, if we locate the top left-hand corner of your screen, I'm going to zoom in so it's a little bit more obvious. You'll notice that underneath the Boosh logo, you are automatically in the block list. You know this because it's selected in blue. To go into the page details, you'll want to hover over this and give it a click. And you'll see that when I give it a click, it then is highlighted in blue. And if I wanted to go back into the block list, I could click on block list again. Whenever you create a page, as we saw in the last class, you give it a page title, a slug, which is part of the URL, and then a description. Now, automatically, the page title is going to generate an SEO title tag. And a best practice is to have these match up. So we saw earlier that I changed this, what was on the header image. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this over into both the page title in the top left. And you'll see that it updates the SEO title tag automatically. Now you'll also want to do this for any other changes you've made. So for the description, for example, I'm going to go ahead and copy this into both the main description as well as the meta description. One of the advantages to what Tim was saying about having doing all of your writing and creative in like a Word document or Google Sheet is that you end up getting to do a lot of the copying and pasting. So you're not having to build and be creative at the same time, which I just recommend as a best practice. You'll see below the meta description, it lets you know, please note that it may take up to 30 days for your meta description to be visible in the search engine results. It does take time for Google to crawl these sites and bring them over into Google or Bing or Ask Jeeves or any of the other search engines, which is just kind of to note that the changes you're making do work over time, and that SEO really is kind of a long game. You're not trying to SEO to get result number 1 tomorrow. Once you've made whatever changes you'd like to this page detail section, just be sure in the bottom left-hand corner to click save. And then you could go back into your block list, or what I'm going to do is exit and go back to my pages inside of Boosh. Now, we talk about the importance of creating community-focused content, but let's hop in a little bit and take a look at it from more of an SEO perspective, as opposed to the last class where we were talking about it from an intentional branding perspective. The first is that you're going to want to make sure that you have safe searches on your content pages, especially in low inventory markets. Some of the analytics we're seeing is that newly listed homes for sale when it's at the top of the page, is one of the most clicked on items. And it's also lead generating opportunities. And it's one of the primary values your website can give to a potential visitor or customer. The other thing that's nice about this is that these are updating all of the time. And one of the things that Tim told you that pages, Google and other search engines like to look at as a ranking factor is the freshness of content. Is this page being updated? But safe searches aren't the only block you can add that constantly have freshness and new content being added for you. A couple other ones are things like the social media block. This shows a preview and a scrollable version of your Facebook or Twitter page, and it can link out to other social media sites. Because you're going to have posts that go on there, as this block updates, your page will in effect be updated. Another one that's really important is your agent reviews in the testimonials block. We know just from a efficacy standpoint that testimonials that are viewed online are trusted as much as those as a review from a friend or family member. And if you're in the habit of going in and adding your reviews to the testimonial section, this will be updated constantly as well. Lastly is the blog. You, of course, can go in and put in the RSS feed from your third-party blog, but by default, you have the Remax blog, which gets updated on a regular basis. Again, boosting your page because it's constantly being refreshed. Now, let's take a look at some of those SEO parameters and what they look like on these search engines. So the SEO parameters that we changed were the title tag and meta description. And when we take a look at how these appear on Google, what we see is how they would appear. The page title tag appears in the top screenshot, which is the blue text. So for the example of Remax.com, it's Remax : real estate, homes for sale, home values, agents, and then there's more there as well. The meta description appears underneath the title tag in the gray text. So for Remax.com, it says, looking to buy or sell a home, we've got you covered. Check out our property listings and find an experienced Remax agent in your market. So keep in mind that the title tag has a large impact on SEO values. And some of the things that you can do to optimize this are to follow some of these best practices. Title tag should accurately describe what the page is about and set expectations. It should set the expectation of what people are going to see. And when they click on it, they should see what they expect. This should also incorporate your primary keyword or keywords, but in a way that's very natural and normal. And you'll want to make sure that these are precise and specific and ideally under 60 characters. You do get penalized if the title tag is too long. Also, make sure that your title tags are unique throughout your website. If you had multiple pages, for example, called the Metro Denver Buyer's Guide, Google doesn't know kind of why there's two of them. And so they both kind of end up falling because they end up splitting the difference. Now, what about the meta description? The meta description doesn't impact SEO directly, but it does indirectly. So Google isn't going to penalize you for your meta description per se. However, one of the ranking factors is the click-through rate of any given page. If Google sees that your page is not getting a high click-through rate, it's going to move it down in the list and put in content that is more engaging towards the top of the list. So your meta description should entice people to click on the page, give a little bit more context for what they can expect, and give them reasons why they should be clicking there rather than someone else's page. This is important even if you're not in the #1 position. This is just a best practice to have across. And as that click-through rate increases and you increase native traffic, this page will move up the list of SEO. Now we went through and updated some of the information that you see here for a specific page. However, I want to go through and take a second look at that same page and think about some of the keywords that we can build off of that new page title tag. So I'm going to hop back into Booge now, and I'm going to find my buyer's guide. Notice that because we changed the name of the page, it's now changed inside of Booge. Now it says Metro Denver Buyer's Guide instead of just Buyer's Guide. And just like before, I'm going to click the blue edit pencil. Looking at the stock content, we know it's going to be generic by design, but there's certain areas that we can start adding in some keywords that are related to our page title tag and meta description. So we can see just in this first area, it's called the content full width intro paragraphs. If I go into the text editor, we have some areas that we can add some information. So we can do things like buying a home can be one of the most exciting experiences of your life, whether you've purchased several homes or you're preparing to buy for the first time. There's a couple easy areas that we can start adding in the word Metro in Denver and Colorado. First, we'll remove trusted Remax professional, Denver, and we'll replace it with the words Denver expert. you can make the most informed decisions. My guide breaks down the steps of buying a home in metropolitan Denver. Surrounding areas and more, so you can start the process of feeling confident and prepared. So even just with those small changes, those things now have the keyword that we are marketing here. And notice that it has the keyword like buy, buyer, guide already built in. I'm going to save this block and take a look a little bit farther down. We have a section here called the tools to help you find your home. Once you define your home search goals, discuss them with your RE/MAX agent, and have spoken with a mortgage professional, see what your buying power in, you're ready to find your dream home. So one easy way that we can edit this, and this is going to be the block called content full width, is in that paragraph, it says your dream home in Central Colorado. And then click Save Changes. And you can see just in the few seconds we spent on this page, we've already gotten to add our primary keywords several times. And if you were to then go through and start editing some of the images that are on this page to make them more specific to your marketplace, adding in some additional blocks. For example, we have a video block here. You could add in items like the social media block or the blog block that with a not tremendous effort, you can have a very nice, specific and customized web page that is going to draw traffic into your website. Now, Tim, I'm going to go ahead and hop back into our PowerPoint because I'd like to pass over to you so we can start talking about things like branding, specifically with domains.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So domain names, your website URL. Now, by default, you do have a URL that's going to be your username.remax.com. Now, if you think about it, who's actually getting the value from that URL? Your username.remax.com. Well, remax.com is, because remax.com is that authoritative website that your website is a part of, and that domain name is remax.com and your username. So how do you get authoritative content or authoritative by the domain itself? You actually want to make sure that you're creating a custom URL or a vanity URL. In these custom URLs, you want to make sure that the URLs is unique to you and it's something that people can remember. Now, it could be your name, sells whatever city that you're in.com. It could be sellcoloradohomes.com. It could be Texas Home Tour. It could be just your name itself. You want to come up with a domain name that's going to be unique to who you are. It aligns with RE/MAX brands and standards, okay? Or even your brands as well. I want to make sure that it's easily recognizable and memorable. One of the ways I explain this a lot is if you have a domain name and you put it on the sign writer on your sign in a yard and somebody's driving by, how easy is it for them to remember it once they get past your sign? That's what we mean by memorable. So if they look at it, they can remember what it is. You don't want to have a lot of hyphens and dashes or hyphens or dashes within the URL. They're not going to remember where those go. And again, you want to make sure that whatever that domain name is about, it tells what the website is about. Now, granted, if it says www.timross.com and it's hanging on a sign writer and they see that, well, of course, they know they're going to a website about real estate. However, if you just have that on a flyer or brochure or postcard and you send it out, they see the domain name, yes, they know it's about real estate. But from the off chance, they just see the name timross.com somewhere, they're not going to know that that's real estate, right? But if I put timsellskaty.com, well, Tim sells what in the Katy area, right? Homes. Tim sells homes in Katy. So you look at different variations of how you can use these domain names to help with your website. One, visibility and recognizable and memorable. The other thing too is that it also helps with the search engines because your domain name speaks volumes of what is that domain name or how does it relate to the content within that website. And again, you also want to make sure that you're using keywords sparingly within your website. You can even use a keyword for a domain name. So sell coloradohomes.com, guess what? That's a keyword. That could be a keyword on one of your pages. It could be your home page, or it could be a city page within your website. You want to make sure that any domains that you're using, they flow in a way that makes sense. And you also want to make sure that if you will focus on any communities, you can also get domain names and do domain forwarding to specific pages within your website. That doesn't help with SEO, but you can also track if you're spending money on marketing for those neighborhoods and you're using that domain name, you can actually track and see if that ROI is really worth what's going on with that page. At the same time, people coming to the page, are they staying on it? Are they landing on it? Are they going to another website, or are they just hitting it and bouncing out? So that's a lot of things that you can do in regards to that. And again, domains are key. I push this all the time. You want to make sure that you have a domain name. The next thing is talking about SEO. We're covering a lot of information. And if you're looking for instant gratification when it comes to search engine optimization, just remember that it's a marathon. Again, it's not a sprint. You create a web page, it's not going to get ranked into search engines within 24 hours. Even though I've seen it happen before, typically what I've seen, anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks at least to get a page ranked within the search engines. So search engines reward sites that consistently provide high quality content, and it takes time. Again, don't look for that web page to be ranked within 24 hours. It can happen, yes. And if it happens, kudos to you. I'm excited for you, but be patient for it because it does take time on that. And while you're waiting for those pages to rank in the search engines, don't stop and wait for it to get ranked. Start building out those other web pages. Again, you got to put in the work, take small steps towards building a foundation. And again, over time, you will be rewarded. On the universal consumer accounts and everything, Chris, how important is this part of it?
Well, the universal consumer account as a concept, and then specifically the branded Remax search app, is a critical business tool that you have available to you as long as you've gone through and published your Boosh website. So what a Remax account does is, for a consumer, it allows them several key features inside of the technology. So of course, anybody could go to remax.com and start browsing for properties. But some of the features that they'll want to unlock, we need to do a trade-off and give them an account so that we can save that information. This includes things like setting up saved searches, setting up their notifications for when things meet their criteria that they'd like to look at, favoriting, hiding, sharing properties, setting up my places so that the technology helps calculate drive times, and lots of other things. This also applies to the cell phone, and either on desktop or on a mobile device, it can be branded to you, their agent. This can be done in a number of ways. When they first sign up, they can check a box that says I'm working with a Remax agent and find your information. They could go into their settings and do this. They could also search for you specifically on remax.com or your website and click work with me. What this does is it brands the app to you, and it creates communication right inside of the platform, and it generates them as a lead for you. Now, what is so key about this is that for you to understand this process, what I highly, highly recommend, go to your Google Play Store on Android or your Apple App Store on iOS, download the app yourself and use your personal or a throwaway email to generate yourself as a lead. This is going to help you understand the consumer experience of what it's like to use the application on both desktop, laptop, tablet, or cell phone. And it'll help you generate yourself as a lead so that you can see it come into your system, accept the lead, and you can start seeing some of the features that you unlock when somebody says that they're working with you. The first one is going to be viewing account activity inside of the CRM. There was a time when I was a real estate agent, and I remember my first ever buyer was a younger couple that told me that they absolutely wanted a colonial house. And in the marketplace I was in, there just weren't very many of those inside of their price range. If I had had this information, then I would have known that they were doing just as many searches for brick ranches as they were for colonials. And I would have been able to service them much more completely because I'd have the information of their activity. You have the power to do this because when somebody says that they're working with you, Inside of their account, you're going to see things like their favorited properties, what properties they're hiding, what hit searches they've been performing, and what searches they've chosen to save. Letting you keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on with their home search, help improve your communication and your communication strategy, and provide a much higher level of customer service to your clients. But I recommend testing this out with your own account so you can see both ends. Here is the sign up process for that universal consumer account. You can see that they can enter in an email and password or give that information with Facebook, Google, or their Apple ID. And then they'll fill out a first name, last name, optional phone number, and that very important box that says, check, I am working with a RE/MAX agent. That's where they will enter in your name and select you from a dropdown, and that's where they register. Now, to revisit how we started this class was the RE/MAX technology ecosystem. If you think about everything we've talked about today, whether it was Megaphone and controlling your presence via advertising and automatic social posting, whether it was building up your Booj website to bring in some organic traffic and provide a ton of value to website visitors, whether it was this class where we focused on SEO, increasing your ranking and your keyword strategy to bring in more traffic and using the tools that are available like your mobile app to provide customer service. All of these tools work together to help you enhance your business and take it in the direction that you want. We have some additional materials for you inside of this class with some additional tasks to complete. Keep in mind, we're going to give you the slides, so don't feel the need to write these down, but these are going to be some helpful videos and resources about downloading your branded app and sharing it out to consumers and adding that hyperlocal data to your Booj website. If you run into any difficulties doing these things or you have any questions, remember, we have a team here at RE/MAX LLC to help you out in product support. The best and fastest way to reach out to them is live chatting them using the support services tile in MAX Center. The second fastest and best is calling or texting 888-398-7171. And the third fastest and best is emailing them at productsupport@remax.net. Now we'll go ahead and answer any questions that have come in, but in the meantime, I want to make sure that you have these files, both the presentation slides and the training materials folder. Tim went ahead and posted those in the live chat, so feel free to copy those from there. You'll make sure that you're putting those into your URL bar. You're not Google searching them because they won't go anywhere. And they are case sensitive. So uppercase has to be uppercase and lowercase has to be lowercase. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up and pass it over to you, Tim. Do we have any questions that are pending in the Q&A?
Actually, we don't at this time. So it looks like we did an outstanding job. So we answered everybody's questions during the training.
Well, if anybody does have a question, feel free to leave it in there. I'm going to leave this up for another few minutes. I want to thank you for your time and attention the past 2 days. We really appreciate it. It means the world to us. So feel free to drop in any questions. If you run into any difficulties, reach out to product support and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.